to call this November Amherst County School Board meeting to order. Looks like we have a full house tonight here, so it's a great thing to see all the people. So if we could rise for a moment of silence and pledge allegiance, please. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Board, have you had a chance to look at the agenda?
I make a motion that we approve tonight's agenda.
Second.
Mr. Chair, may I amend the motion to add a section 4.02 after 4.01 for the board to discuss the VSBA legislative positions we're to vote on? Am I able?
Do you need to rescind your motion, or do we need to vote on it?
I think we
Just
need to
on
vote
it.
on it now.
Okay, so we'll vote on the initial motion. So all in favor? All opposed?
Aye.
Okay. Now the additional motion.
Thank you, sir. Mr. Chair, I make a motion that we amend the agenda to add section 4.02 after 4.01 for discussion of VSBA legislative positions for the delegate assembly.
Okay, we have a motion.
Second.
We have a second. All in favor? Aye. Any opposed? Okay, Dr. Wells, can you make that adjustment for us? Got that? Okay, gotcha. Gotcha. So we need another motion, please.
I make a motion that we approve the amended agenda.
Do I have a second?
Second.
All in favor? Aye. Any opposed? There we go. Okay, Dr. Wells, moving on to 2.0. I'm going to move it. Gotcha. What will we do without Brittany?
Hannah, keep me straight. I just hope I can talk better than I did the other night. Mr. Chair, members of the board, I want to take a moment to recognize Temperance Elementary School tonight. And we were notified October 25th from the Virginia Department of Education that Temperance Elementary School was being recognized as the highest achievement exemplar award. They received this award from the Department of Education. And I want to I'd like to bring Mr. Martin and if any of his staff that are here can come up if you want to. They're one of 92 schools in the state, out of over 2,000 schools in the state, they're one of 92 schools in the state to receive this award. And I want to read the whereases on here. And it says, whereas the Board of Education's Exemplar School Recognition Program recognizes and rewards schools that exceed minimum requirements or showing continuous improvement on academic and school quality indicators, and whereas the Exemplar School Recognition measures the performance of students from competence toward excellence in reading, math, and science, and on other indicators of school quality consistent with the standards of accreditation, and recognizes schools, school divisions, and school boards for successful implementation of innovative practices. And whereas to qualify for recognition under this program, a school must demonstrate the pursuit of academic excellence by attaining high performance in academic achievement of all students and across student groups in reading, mathematics, and science. And whereas recognition also requires investment in student engagement as evidenced by a high rate of student attendance. Now therefore be it resolved that the Board of Education recognizes this accomplishment by awarding this 2024-2025 Board of Education Highest Achievement Award. Mr. Terry, you come down for a photograph? Y'all can come across for a photograph.
It was.
Ms. Saunders, it's you this time.
Set you up.
I was in good shape.
And we'll be doing a recognition at Temperance Elementary School on November 18th at 2:30. And so we're all invited, but we'll be scored to have their staff and students involved in the process too and recognize them and have a little pep rally and stuff like that for the school. And that's on the 18th at 2:30. Anybody who'd like to join us, you're more than welcome to. All right? All right. Is Ms. Gamble or anyone from Amherst Cares here tonight? There you are. I didn't see you in the back. Come on up, Ms. Gamble. So, Amherst Cares, for those of you who don't know, is 2010, correct? Is when you started?
Yes.
It's been around since 2010. Did a little research, and since 2010, they have provided over 200,000 meals to students in Amherst County. Last year alone, they served 18,983 meals to our students. This is all done by Ms. Gamble and her team to make this happen. And our students across the county, our food insecure students who receive these meals, it goes a long way toward giving them food for the weekends and things like that. So we want to recognize them, the partnership they've had with us. It's been a great partnership. Ms. Gamble is stepping down from leading this after this year. I know we've been talking about some stuff in the works, but I don't want to go there yet, unless you want to. Okay. But we do want to see this continue because it is great for our students, and the amount of what they do for our kids is just remarkable, the impact they've had on our students here in Amherst County and our community in general. So I just want to personally thank you for all you've done, and appreciate everything that you've done over the past for our students in our school system. So thank you. We have a certificate. We haven't framed it yet because I want you to sign it. So you can come right here. Then we'll get it in the frame.
All right.
There's 2 copies. Sorry. And I don't know if you want to say anything or not. No. Anyone else? Okay. But I wanted to make sure, we've been trying to have this recognition for a couple months, but between us having to move last week, that's my school board meeting and some other things going on, we just were able to finally get together and have this tonight. So I just want to personally say thank you on behalf of Amherst County Public Schools for all you've done. And we wish you the best as you go into your second retirement, I guess, now? Third retirement? And wish you the best as you move forward. And hopefully we can stay in touch and keep the partnership together. So thank you.
Sure y'all didn't sign up for a picture. Sorry.
You couldn't sneak out the door that fast. Nice try. Nice try.
Try to get away?
Try to dip out. I don't like it.
All right. Students of the month, we're going to do September, and we'll do our students of the month for October. Because September, well, the October board meeting, as many of y'all know, the afternoon of the meeting, we received the scheduled meeting, we received a phone call stating there had been a threat made against Amherst County Public Schools, so we had to postpone our school board meeting and have it later in the month. But due to the timing of everything getting right together, we had that meeting in the afternoon. So I wanted to make sure we recognized our students for September. So tonight we're going to double up a little bit and try to get everybody recognized for September and October. So if you're here, when I call your name, come forward, and I'll read the statement. If you're not here due to time, I'm going to recognize a student, probably not read the statement tonight just because we have a lot of folks here to get through. So, Olivia Stinnett, Amherst County High School. Okay, we'll move forward. Joshua Hamlet, AEC. All right. Liam Smith, Amherst Middle School. Come on up. I'm going to read this statement here for you. Liam is a sixth grade student at Amherst Middle School, and he's a student of the month because he consistently has a positive attitude and positive impact that he makes on all who is around him. He loves learning and participating in class. He displays the AMS Big Three, respect, responsibility, and resilience on a daily basis. We congratulate Liam on a great start to your middle school career and on being a student of the month in September. Keep up the great work. Now, the bad news is you get to stand up here the whole time like everybody else. So just hang tight right there. I'll call some more up in a second. Logan Walker from Mount Allison. Okay. Morgan Duff from Amelon. All right. Micah Schoening from AES. Micah is a kindergartner at Amherst Elementary School, has been selected as this month's Star Student of the Month because he's independent in our world of the year in kindergarten. Micah loves to be not only independent, but he also will quietly assist a classmate when they need help. He takes great care to get his tasks done on time and is usually correct and neat in his work. He is my best computer helper. Flip it over. And does great work in the classroom. So congratulations to Micah. CES, Macy Martin. Macy? All right. EES, Aiden Irvin. Aiden. How are you, sir? Good to see you. Come on up. So Aiden is a fifth grader at Elon, has been selected as this month's Student of the Month because he is respectful and resilient and the epitome of a soaring eagle. Aiden shines in the classroom and is a role model for his peers. He is also a super supportive sibling to his little brother, Asher. Aiden's growth and progress during his time at Elon have been outstanding. Congrats, Aiden. Lincoln Slaughter, Madison Heights. Lincoln is a third grade student who works hard every day to be the best he can be. He is always kind and a good friend to others, making sure everyone feels included. Even when challenges arise, Lincoln never gives up and stays determined to succeed. His positive attitude and perseverance inspire those around him. Congratulations, Lincoln. Sawyer Tomlin from Temperance. Sawyer Tomlin, a fifth grade student at TES, has been selected as the Star Student of the Month because of his perseverance and dedication to his schoolwork and his positive interactions with his classmates and teachers. Sawyer is thoughtful in his words and actions, trustworthy, and thrives to be a team player each day. He comes to school ready to learn and strives to do his best, even when he'd rather be farming and showing livestock. Sawyer is a wonderful example of what it means to be a Temperance Tiger. Congratulations. Those are our September students. We'll do a quick picture. Y'all good for a picture? That's the last video. But parents, what we'll do, these pictures will be sent to the school, and the certificates will be sent to the school, and they'll be given to the students at school. So now we'll do October. Again, if you're here, when I call your name, come on up. Caitlin Samuels, Amherst County High School. You can smile, son. Caitlin is the Star Student of the Month, has straight A's and perfect attendance up to this point. She has worked incredibly hard in her classes to earn quality grades. Ms. Driscoll nominated Caitlin and stated that among all the great things that she does, most recently she finished with her work and walked around the room to help other struggling students and assisted them with their work as well. Way to go, Caitlin. Coleman Adams, AEC. Okay. Cameron Hamilton, Amherst Middle School. Good job the other day. Cameron is the Student of the Month because he is a fantastic, positive role model and leader at school and on the football field. He demonstrates exactly what it means to be respectful and responsible each and every day at Amherst Middle School. His peers look up to him, and he leads through making good choices, working hard, and being kind. Congratulations, Cam, on being the AMS Student of the Month for October. Keep up the great work. From Manellison, Sylvia Guzman Rodriguez. Sylvia is the definition of what we look for in terms of student growth. We have watched her transform into a mature, responsible, and academically driven young woman over the past 2 school years. She has overcome tremendous obstacles and persevered through personal challenges to become a fantastic student and positive role model to her peers. Congratulations, Sylvia, for being selected as Manellison's Student of the Month. Good job. Amelon Aiden Schlereth. Aiden? Okay. Amherst Elementary, Michaela Napier. Michaela has been selected as this month's Student of the Month because Michaela is a great student and cares about her learning. She is responsible, hardworking, and focused in class. She is polite and kind to her peers and respectful towards others. Michaela is a great role model to other students. Congratulations. You guys, y'all can smile. You don't have to worry about it. All right. Central Elementary School, Karsten Carter, CES. All right. Carson is a kindergarten at CES and has been selected as this month's Student of the Month because he consistently pays attention during instruction and participates well in discussions. He works to the best of his ability and shows kindness and respect to adults and students in the school. He is always the first to share and help someone, and we are so proud of him. Congratulations. Elin Anderson Clark. Anderson is a kindergarten at Eland that's been selected because he has transitioned to school like a champ. Anderson is respectful of adults and peers, comes to school each day ready to learn, and is a role model for other Eagles. Congrats, Anderson. Good job. Madison Heights, Wesley Plogger. Wesley has been chosen by his kindergarten classmates in Miss Seaver's room as the Star Student of the Month, and he couldn't be more deserving of the honor. Wesley is known for his kindness, always treating others with respect and going out of his way to make everyone feel included. He approaches each day with enthusiasm, works hard on all his tasks, and brings a bright, joyful spirit into the classroom. Wesley's ever-present smile lights up the room, and his love for learning inspires his classmates. We are truly lucky to have Wesley as part of our school community. Congratulations, Wesley. We are proud of you. Make sure I was right. Okay. Ainsley Giles, TES. Right. Ainsley has been selected as this month's Student of the Month because of her incredible work ethic and compassionate spirit. She puts in the time and effort to excel academically and works hard to help others in class. She is kind towards other students and adults in the building, showing a level of respect that inspires others to do the same. By setting such an example, Ainsley not only excels academically, she also helps cultivate a positive classroom community and encourages everyone around her to strive for success. Ainsley is a true team player and demonstrates thoughtfulness and trustworthiness each and every day. She is a wonderful example of what it means to be a Temperance Tiger. Congratulations. Parents, you're welcome to stay if you would like. If you don't, I understand. So I'll give you that option.
On the football field. That's a big dude for middle school. That's a big dude for middle school.
He was also part of the senior stuff, all the stuff with the Veterans Day ceremony and stuff too, so it's good. All right, we'll do staff of the month, but we'll wait till kind of clears real quick, then we'll do staff. Staff of the month of September, we'll do the same. If they're here, we'll read. If not, I'll recognize them and move on, just in essence of time. So, Amherst County High School, Larry Johnston, welding instructor. I'm going to read while you're coming up here. Right. Mr. Johnson has been the welding instructor for many years at Amherst County High School. There is not a single student, current or former, who does not love Mr. J. He loves his students and he holds them accountable. There is one reason our welding program is consistently the best in the entire state, and that reason is Mr. Larry Johnston. Thank you so much. And when local businesses come to us, they hire our welding kids right out of high school because they know they're prepared. So it's all because of the work he does with them. So thank you, sir. You want to stay up here so we can get your picture? You don't have to. You want a chair?
No, I'm good, thank you.
Okay. AEC, Latanya Lee. Okay. Amherst Middle School, Kim O'Neill. Ms. O'Neill teaches world geography and civics at Amherst Middle School. She's the staff of the month because she continually goes above and beyond her required teaching responsibilities. She agreed to teach a 6th period this year to help with our numbers in 7th grade, and she is a great mentor teacher. She is a great instructional leader, not only for our history department, but for all of AMS, and she's a valuable member of our school support team. She established great relationships with her students and helped coordinate different events for students while at AMS. Congratulations to Ms. O'Neill on being the AMS Staff of the Month for September. And Ellison, Brittany Vire. Okay. Amelon, Ashley Johnson. All right. Amherst Elementary, Susan McCafferty. Susan McCaffrey is an instructional assistant at Amherst Elementary School and has been selected as this month's Staff of the Month because she goes above and beyond working in Positive Pathways program in the mornings. She is a huge help in the afternoon with the kindergartners. She is positive and upbeat. She is willing to do anything that is needed to help the AES community. She has been a wonderful addition to our staff this year. We're lucky to have her here. Thank you. CES, Laura Lunsford. Okay. Elin, Mary Merritt. And she was one of my students, by the way. All right. Mary has been selected as this month's Star Staff of the Month because she has embraced her new role as a school librarian. Ms. Merritt impacts school-wide literacy and promotes a love for learning in all students. Not only did she learn every student's name in the school within the first week, she is working to foster relationships with all students. Ms. Merritt is a mentor to colleagues and successfully sold over 1,000 books at her first book fair this month. Thank you, Ms. Merritt, for your hard work and dedication to our Eagles. Congratulations. Madison Heights, Mackenzie Givens. Okay. Temperance, Beverly Brown. Beverly Brown's a tag instructor at Temperance, has been selected because she's one of the most generous and giving educators we've ever had the pleasure of working with. Ms. Brown ensures she always supports her students. One way she does this is by providing the students with an opportunity to participate in the spelling bee. Ms. Brown also always makes sure that she shows up with fun and challenging activities that really stimulate the student to think outside the box. She's an absolute asset to TES and all of Amherst County Public Schools. Congratulations. Transportation, Ms. Jenny Tomlin. Okay. And SAO, Ms. Ruth Matheny. I don't think either of them, they're not here. Okay. Let's get a picture with them, then we'll do October. Now for October, Amherst County High School, Miss Patricia Emmert. Miss Emmer's the star staff of the month. She's one of a kind. She is always so full of life and positivity. She regularly finds ways to brighten the day for others. Most recently, Ms. Emmer led the Amherst Theater to a state competition, the VTA, where they placed in the top 6 in the entire state. This is not the first time that they has led our theater program to these types of accomplishments, and this most certainly won't be the last. Way to go, Ms. Emmert. And hopefully in May, you'll get to use a new stage and theater. AEC, Ms. Rebecca Peters. Okay. Amherst Middle School, Ms. Terry Campbell. Okay. Manellison, Mr. Ronnie Sandage. All right. Amelon, Jennifer Beverly. Ms. Beverly has embraced her new role and is a very active part of our Amelon team. She is accessible to the students and willing to jump in whenever needed. She never complains, just asks, how can I help? She is always willing to help out no matter what the job, and has been especially helpful at the car rider dismissal recently. She has taken on learning our new dismissal system with a smile on her face. Ms. Beverly is always friendly, smiling, and kind to students and adults. And earlier this week, I was down in class and got to work with her in one of the classes this week. So thank you. Good job. Appreciate it. Ms. Sandy Goldman, Amherst Elementary, among others. Ms. Goldman is an English language teacher at Amherst Elementary School and has been selected for the Staff of the Month because she works very hard to establish positive relations with her EL students and families. She is always willing to go the extra mile to make sure her students are getting the resources they need to be successful. She collaborates with teachers and reading specialists to ensure achievement of her EL students. We are lucky to have her as part of our AES family as well as our ACPS family, so thank you. CES, Lisa Nemec. Lisa is a second grade teacher at CES and has been selected as the Staff of the Month because she is an outstanding teacher and coworker. She goes above and beyond every single day for her students. She is always willing to help out in any way that she can or listen to others' ideas. In addition, she puts her students first, works to meet their daily needs, and delivers instruction in a way that truly supports all students. Congratulations and thank you. Elin Christy Mays. Christy is a school counselor at Elin, has been selected because she is a key player in our school support process. Ms. Mays has jump-started attendance initiatives and highlighted the importance of student recognition for all learners. She is partnering with teachers to ensure all of our Eagles enjoy coming to school. Thank you, Ms. Mays, for all you do. Madison Heights, Caleb Larson. Okay. Temperance, Shirley Wright. Shirley is an instructional assistant at TES and is the Staff of the Month for her exemplary teamwork at Temperance. Hired for a specific role, Ms. Wright was asked to step into a different position due to unforeseen circumstances. She took on this transition with remarkable professionalism and a positive attitude. A seasoned member of the ACPS team, Ms. Wright is truly deserving of this recognition. We're incredibly fortunate to have her here at TES and in Amherst County Public Schools, so thank you. Cherie Hammett, Transportation. Okay. And Julie Albert, SEO. I know Julie can't be here because apparently they have 17 people at the farm going to hunt this weekend, and she has to feed them all tonight. So, all right. And try him. All right, our last recognition this evening is for the Tri-M chapter at Manellison Middle School. And is Mr. Tomlin here? So I believe you have your banner there.
I have the banner.
All right, we'll hold it up in a minute. You can say a couple words if you want to. Any students or other folks that work there, y'all can come on up. So they started the National Music Association, the Music Honor Society at Manellison Middle School last year. And they worked together to get students involved, and as a result of all the work they did, they were named the State Chapter of the Year for Virginia for their work as a first-year organization. So that is a great accomplishment. So we've been trying to get you up here since June, I think, but we've always had some conflicts. So tonight we finally got them here. This is for last year. Hopefully, we'll get it again this year, but I just want to thank you for all that you've done and appreciate the work you're doing. And I don't know if you want to have a couple words you want to say. No. So we want to hold the banner up. Let's come over here and hold the banner up.
I'll hold the banner. I mean, we're gonna hear a little music tonight or something.
No, acapella.
And they performed, I'll give you the microphone. Their Veterans Day performance last week with the band and the chorus was a great night, and I appreciate them doing that for our veterans in our community and the performance they did, so thank you. And again, wish you the best as we continue this moving forward, so thank you very much. Thank you. Thank you. I think that's it.
Okay.
That way you can.
Okay, so moving on, we have public comment, and we have one person who is scheduled to speak or signed up to speak, Ms. Betsy Thomas. State your name and address, please.
I'll move it down this time.
There you go.
I am Betsy Thomas. I live at 155 Yahweh Drive here in Amherst. Ladies and gentlemen of the school board, I want to begin tonight by thanking you for the extra time you allowed me last time when I spoke. In addition, I'd also like to thank the board member who reached out to me for input on how funds could be reallocated in order to cover my request to increase pay for our instructional assistants to a living wage. This is a great place to start a conversation. However, without knowing where the priorities of the board lie, it's a near impossible question for me to answer since I'm not privy to the board's discussions. I would pose this question. If the board finds that their priorities do not lie in hiring and retaining full-time employees, thus making it impossible to find the funds as the budget now sets, what steps are required in order to obtain additional funds to make our instructional assistants a priority? I also want to thank you for seeing the need and approving the hiring of additional instructional assistants at the last board meeting. Now that you have approved their hiring, how do you propose to attract employees to these positions? I do have for each board member a copy of the job description for a special education instructional assistant and a general education instructional assistant. They're identical, by the way. Nowhere on either description does it list that the applicant would need to be able to lift a student, diffuse volatile behaviors, actually change diapers, potentially getting hit, kicked, scratched, and bit. In the past, IAs have been told by those over them that they should be thankful that they have a job and shouldn't complain because they knew what they were getting into when they signed their contract. If these descriptions are accurate in the job description, how would they know? Because it's not in there. Nowhere does it say that you are going to have to physically do things with children that could lead to these things. So in closing, I ask these additional questions with all respect. Would you, as an individual who's working in this position, continue in this position when those who employ you rarely, if ever, visit your school, see what kind of dedication you have, but instead you feel that they have brushed your concerns aside year after year, as if you were not an essential part of this operation? And when was the last time our school board members spent real time in our buildings during instruction? The extracurriculars are fantastic. Families need to see you there. Children love to see you there. But our employees need to see you there when they're working, when they're putting in that time and that effort. During the instructional time, in a classroom setting, seeing the hard work that they do in the development and education of the students of Amherst County Public Schools. If Amherst County Public Schools wishes to cultivate excellence in every child every day, then we need to value our instructional assistants who provide this essential service to our students. Thank you.
Thank you, ma'am. So that's the only one we have signed up. Is anyone else from the audience who would like to speak? Okay, seeing none, we'll move on. 4.0,
Yes, sir.
Dr. Wells?
Mr. Chair, members of the board, we have policy revisions. I did pull policy GBMA from the docket tonight. We will just focus on policy AC. Policy AC, the recommendation was to maintain our current policy, but just update the legal code, legal references. Thank you. Brain stopped working.
Okay. Board, have you had a chance to see what was presented? Can I get a motion? You need a motion to approve.
We need
it
a motion to approve,
it
yes.
tonight. Okay. Okay. Okay, cool.
Mr. Chair,
ma'am.
I'll just start off just a little bit. I know that I had some questions about policy AC and the historical legal references and cross-references. I also know that we have looked at this particular policy for some time. So I'm either okay with calling for a vote for it tonight or sending it to committee to look at the historical piece of the legal references and that kind of thing. So whatever the board's pleasure is for me.
Anyone else from the board?
Mr. Chair,
Yes, ma'am.
I move that we move policy AC to committee for review of historical significance.
Okay. We have a motion.
I'll second it.
Okay. So we have a motion and a second. Any other discussion on that?
Ask a question? Is
Yes,
there
ma'am.
time for that? What historical, what's the wording? Historical what?
It was the cross-references and legal references.
So what are we looking at again?
Well, there were just some that were mentioned in it that, from my recollection from when we had done it a couple of years ago, that there may be some discrepancies. I'm not sure, but, to just take a look at them.
Oh, I just need clarity on what you're talking about.
I mean, we
Or-
could easily bring it back in December, I think.
Is there an issue with that, Dr. Wells? We'll come back in December? Okay.
Our current policy, the language is not changing from our current policy that is on the books now to the proposed policy, just the references were being updated.
Okay.
So our policy is still in effect.
Okay.
Well, and Dr. Wells, when I'm looking at our current policy, it does look different than the one that was just put before us.
It's the same policy. The one, what I recommended was, I gave you the VSBA policy, and in my notes
Okay.
it says, I recommend we maintain our current policy
Okay.
with the addition of the new references.
Okay,
So,
thank you.
okay.
So we have, any other discussion, board? Okay, so we have a motion and a second. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? Okay, so we'll
Okay.
look at that, please.
Yes, sir. Thank you. And we added 4.02, discussion of VSBA legislative positions, to the agenda.
Yes.
So, Mr. Chair?
Yes, ma'am.
At your place in your emails, there is a document, and tonight we are supposed to vote on the VSBA legislative positions as a board. That's a part of the procedure with VSBA. And so I move the board draft a letter stating ACPS votes to support legislative proposals number 3, 4, 5, and 6, and to abstain from legislative proposals 1, 2, and 7, and make a statement of dissent on legislative positions 4.5, Virginia Retirement System contributions, and legislative position 4.19, volunteers. And legislative position 4.23, expansion of the Virginia Human Rights Act, and legislative position for 1.11, graduation and completion index and dropout rate calculation for ELs, and legislative position 10.5, counseling, and legislative position 10.17, mandatory reporting of misdemeanors and status offenses, and legislative position 10.18, disorderly conduct for school-based offenses.
Okay. That was a big motion. But, so we do have a motion. Can I get a second? Is there a second?
Second?
So now we're open for discussion. So, board, any discussion on the items that has been presented?
Since I made the motion, I don't mind leading.
Okay, feel free.
So the first four positions have a lot to do with funding, formula, impact, and SOQ. But then the next three, there is in the proposal number 1, it is recommending and advocating for a comprehensive review of all curriculum and policies and professional development to make certain they are free of systemic racism, discrimination, and background knowledge biases. What stands out to me is the systemic racism piece. In our current climate, systemic racism has, that our legal system, our educational system, our healthcare system, that they are all racist in the system. We're not talking about racism among people or even practices, but that the systems, the institutions themselves are racist. So I don't think that that is something that our community would agree with. Growth measures, they're promoting growth measures equal to or greater than content mastery. That started in 2017, and that explains how you can have parents and teachers saying, well, they're doing well on this, but then when they go to the test, they're not doing well. So it would also exempt EL learners from achievement and growth calculations for 5.5 years. Currently, Virginia Board of Education would like to take it back to 3 semesters, which is 1.5 years, which is more aligned with the federal. Also, if you're not assessing them, how can you get them the services they need? In the 2.1 early childhood developmental programs, it is a little confusing to me. I'm not certain if this is making it so the caseload for teachers is going to be greater. So it says, by allowing increased caseload maximums for the disability category of developmental delay, age 2 to 5, in half-day center-based programs to be per section and class rather than the maximum caseload per teacher. To me, that implies that there could have a greater caseload on our teachers if they're shifting it that way. In legislative position 4.5, the Virginia Retirement System contributions, this position is actively opposed to crediting temporary supplemental pay for retirement purposes, and they would like to refrain from requiring employer payment of member contributions or payment based on compensation, which includes salary supplements. We have teachers who are doing school bus driving, they have stipends, and VSBA, this particular position is opposed to that being counted towards their retirement. I don't think that's in the best interest of our teachers. Legislative position 4.19 on volunteers is advocating for individuals on a case-by-case basis with a felony conviction to be allowed as volunteers with students so that they would be mentors and volunteers. I think that this is discriminatory in that you are allowing volunteers to come in and serve in a capacity with less restrictions or less requirements than our teachers and employees already have to work with kids. It could be considered discriminatory. It could create an environment of conflict among our employees and dissatisfaction. In addition, how that would be a huge workload on our administration. How are we going to separate out white-collar crimes from crimes against persons? How are we going to keep track of the felons who are on probation for 20 years? Who's going to track and say, oh, they're on probation, but they're not? So that's why I would suggest that. And legislative 4.23 is the expansion of the Virginia Human Rights Act, which is just going further into making certain that gender identity and sexual orientation are getting the protections under the law. Again, that is not something that I think is reflective of our community values. Legislative position 10.5 is counseling. It opposes legislation that would mandate an opt-in system of school counseling for parents. From my perspective, and I'm just one, that would seem to me to make an opening or open door for parents being kept out of the loop on decisions that maybe their students are making at school. So.
Okay. Ms. Terry,
Board, yes, Mr. Rossi.
so I do appreciate all the homework. I know it was a lot, and we had discussions about that. And after reviewing all of it, because there is a lot of stuff packed into it, and we had a long conversation about it, and the only part I disagree with, and this is my opinion, is the felonies and volunteers. As you know, felonies could be something as simple as a speeding ticket. Should that stop somebody from mentoring children? Well, maybe they have a message there. But I understand what you're saying about we keep our teachers to a different standard, as we should, but is it possible that maybe we really need to look at teachers also and there are people that have the rights restored. They get the right to vote back. They get the right to hunt. They get the right to possess guns again. And I think if that be the case, then maybe we do need to take a closer look at an individual basis. Who's going to look at that? Well, all teachers, volunteers have to go through a background check, so I'm assuming that's when it gets done, if I'm not mistaken. It gets done at the background check. Now, you're supposed to report in when you get charged, right? Everybody with their employer, you commit a crime, you're supposed to let your employer know. That's just something that happens, right? So as far as a case-by-case basis, I don't think that it would be too difficult for this administration to make a judgment call on a volunteer to say, okay, yes, they have a felony on the record, it was for speeding. We're gonna go ahead and let them do X, Y, or Z. And it's not gonna put the children in danger. Now, obviously, there's enough common sense there to say, hey, this person's got some issues, no, we don't want them in our schools. You know, and that's something that the school's always done and will continue to do to keep our students and faculty safe from people that really shouldn't be in the schools. Even if it's, you know, a parent that's committed a felony that was a violent crime, what do? They're not allowed to come to the baseball games, right? So I don't think it would be too hard for the school to differentiate, you know, to separate out good felons from bad felons. Not that any felony's good, but the fact that they're not a danger to somebody else. And I think that the school does a good job of that. But the rest that you brought up, I think, is definitely on the right side of the community. I think most people, when they dig into it, would agree with everything that you said, without a doubt.
Well,
Anything else?
Yeah.
Yes, ma'am.
I just want to say a couple of things. First of all, evidently you all been having meetings. I haven't heard anything about any of this, and I'm the delegate. So let me just be clear about that. If you've been talking to everybody else, this is the first I heard of it. And I'm the one that goes to Williamsburg to represent Amherst, and I'm more than happy to vote against anything that you want me to vote against. That's my job for 25 years. If you had called and said all of this that you did, and as we're doing tonight, the board has the option to say yes or no, but I don't know where you've had your secret meetings at. Oh, yeah. Because I saw this, did you send this out, what, 4 o'clock in the morning?
Yes,
Yeah.
that's why.
So who's making the decision at 4 o'clock in the morning? Am I the delegate representing us or not? Should I have been just asked? And don't you think I would have went to the VSBA if you wanted me to clear this up and brought out information that you brought out? I can do that. That's what I do when I go to Williamsburg. I'm in a room where people debate, vote for, vote against, or abstain from what their board says. I'm capable of doing that. All I needed to know was what you people didn't want. I thought we had that type of communication here. So I'm getting an email that you, and you as a board member, can do whatever you want to do. But I was like slapped in the face. I'm like, what's going on? All someone had to do was say, we're looking at this, Ms. Ligon or Priscilla, and this is what like you're doing right now, but I would have liked to have seen it before right now. That's what I represent. When I go to Laurel, I represent what you say. When someone goes to governor's school, I don't step over top of them and say, you better, you better, you better. We listen to what they say and the board votes on it. And I'm not going to be a part of this type of operation. Yes, every board member, according to the norms, can have their opinion. Very good. Good information, maybe. And the board can definitely vote, and I will raise my flag or whatever I have in there to what you say. But it would have been a common courtesy for me as a delegate representative to be aware of your concerns. That's right. Or the chair. Each November, I will say, like of course we didn't meet in October. If you have any issues with all of these legislative positions from the VSBA, let me know. If you want me to vote against that it's raining outside, let me know. I will do what the board says. I don't go down as Priscilla. I go down to represent Amherst for 25 years. I vote according to what Amherst says. One year I abstained from quite a few because we had that conversation. I didn't have no issue with that. I do not vote what I say. I vote tonight what you said, but this that you brought to our attention at 4:45 in the a.m. is a slap in my face. I'm just gonna be real. That's all I got to say.
Board, anything else?
Mr. Chair,
Yes, ma'am.
I understand Mrs. Justice's concerns on these. I know that she has put a lot of time into reading and understanding the VSBA and how they work with their legislative positions. Some of them, I think I understand, are sort of grandfathered ones, and then there's more hot topics that are on the table for this coming November. I also understand Ms. Ligon, wanting to have some information and know about this up front. I too saw the email where I know that you have put in a lot of work. And I picked up the phone and I called you this afternoon and talked with you. So I don't know that we've had any kind of a secret meeting or anything, Ms. Ligon. I think that when that information came out of her concerns, I did call her to try to get some more detail and
Let
understand
me
them.
rephrase the secret meeting. I remember someone said, I have talked to several people. I think I heard that somewhere. Am I right? Okay. Take off the secret meeting, but she has talked to several people, and I was not included. But thank you, Abby.
So when I did call and talk about some of these, I understand your concern, and I could support either all of them or some of them. What I'm not real clear on is, it's been like this for a long time, is the process. So I know in November, when the VSBA is having their convention, Ms. Ligon, and I think you as the alternate, will go and, am I correct, Ms. Ligon, you will vote on just the particulars that are on the table, but there's also some that are not on the table that are older ones. Is that correct?
Correct.
So for me, I guess for clarity for me, could you distinguish those that are currently on the table for this November?
You have them all, don't you? Yes, ma'am. You want to read them? Sure.
Yeah, but
But the process, I'm going to answer your question first. We can't, in this particular delegate assembly, first of all, I could read all this, but it'd be time consuming. It's very well explained of how this operation occurs, kind of like if we were in here, as we look at these policies, same type thing. You can't introduce another position on that particular day. But here, and do we have a copy machine? Not right now, but it explains the entire legislative process. Now, each one of us as board members receive extraordinary amount of information from the VSBA. Am I right? I'm not the only one. And in each one of those, J.T. Kessler and all the other people, they explain early in the spring, maybe summer, what is going to transpire. Do we want to put anything in there? No one says anything. And then in November, they come together, kind of like Congress, the United States, and all these scenarios, of voting for proposed legislative positions. They don't all pass because maybe everybody in the room from Albemarle, Amherst, Armonk, Lynchburg says no, and it's like, oh, it's not going to work out. So board members or representatives have this process here. I'm trying to read, well, I'll get everybody a copy. But I didn't want to give you a short answer.
Well, I guess
There's
what
a
I'm asking,
process.
I think you answered it, is in this meeting that's coming up in November with the SBA, it is our responsibility to either vote for or against these
Quite simple.
newer topics.
Yes.
So it's my understanding that that is what Ms. Justice is asking us to consider, is which ones do we want to vote for or
And
against?
it's very appropriate.
Because I understand that if we do not, that then the lobbyist will lobby for us unless we express our dissent.
Well, it would
Is
have
that
to
correct?
pass, it would have to, it could go,
It would pass out of all the different school divisions. But this coming November, in what, 2 weeks?
Next
and a
week,
half-
next week.
Is when we have to state what we will vote for or
Exactly.
against.
And that's what Ms. Justice gave us tonight, am I right? And that's, I don't know who you said.
It's my understanding that's what she's given
Yeah,
us.
but I mean, this move to draft a letter, all you got to do is tell me again, I wrote down, you have it here, what you don't and don't want. I don't know if you need a letter.
Well, according to VSBA procedure, if we are not, if the board chooses not to approve a legislative proposal, they have to do it in writing. Otherwise, if it passes, it will be representative.
You can do that, yeah.
Yeah.
I shouldn't have said that. You know why? Because it's never happened.
Right.
It's never happened that way, so it would be new. That doesn't mean I have never abstained when you all, maybe it wasn't you all, but another board said, I said, my board and Amherst abstained. It's all good, nobody's fussing about it. And some people get up from different boards. That's why you see rationale on some of these. People can get up, and this time you can do it if you so choose, and say why, like you said tonight so eloquently, why you don't want it. And so it might not pass. So, I mean, you can write a letter, or you can trust myself to vote against it, raise the flag against it, or whatever you choose to do. I'm smart enough to know how to do that.
So back to my question.
Yes, ma'am.
Mr. Chair, is, I know that I started writing 3, 4, 5, 6, 1, 2, 7, then it went into 4.54. Can you, Ms. Justice, decipher for me which ones are the current ones to be voted on next week?
Mr. Chair, Ms. Thompson, I just printed a copy of that, clean copy. So if it'd be easier, I can get that off the printer and bring it. I just sent one, Dr. Rose to go get it, and I can give it to the chair and vice chair. Then y'all can have a copy to see. Then you can share with the board. I just did 2 copies real quick, though. We just pulled them up. If that-
Okay.
So, in the first part, 3, 4, 5, and 6, those are for current proposals, which are adjustments to current positions. And then 1, 2, and 7 is also current legislative proposals on current legislative positions and how to change them. Down below, when I spoke of like 4.5 and so on, those are all the current in the giant handbook positions that the lobbyists use to operate from and do their statements. And so that book is like almost 100 pages. And so these are the ones that when I looked through it, I thought might be ones the board would want to consider.
But you're saying those are not up for vote?
Well,
No.
if you can make a motion to amend, but it needs a 2/3 vote. And so what you would be doing, if the board decided that these were ones that, as a board, you didn't think were representative of your community, you would need to notify the VSBA in writing that these are not reflective, and that when they represent VSBA membership, they're not representing Amherst.
Ms. McNerney is forwarding everyone on the board what I just printed for chair and vice chair, so you will have that in your inbox here in a few seconds.
So, Mr. Chair,
Yes, ma'am.
as I came across a note here, I'll just read if it's okay with you.
Yes, ma'am.
Previously, I imagine you read this already. Previously adopted legislative positions remain in effect from year to year. No vote is necessary on legislative positions if no change is made. Okay? Only changes to existing positions or amendments to add or delete language or new positions are to be considered by the delegate assembly. Here you go, Abby, it's kind of what you asked me. So we may be talking, I may not know because there's so much going on, 2 situations here, are we?
Probably.
New and old. Or new and existing.
What's on the agenda and then what is on the agenda to be
You mean
voted
for
on?
legislative positions?
Yes,
Okay,
yes.
Okay,
And then those that are already in the book.
and so your problem with those already in the book is what you want to write the letter on?
Yes.
And what numbers were those again? I was writing so much.
That's okay. I think he just printed it for you, but it was,
Those are the new,
No, she wants the ones already. What were they?
okay.
4?
It is 4.5,
4.9.
4.19, 4.23, 1.11, 10.5, 10.17, and 10.18. And again, these are my thoughts, just for the board to discuss.
And they are not the ones that I was, or someone was planning to vote on,
No.
this assembly.
Right, that's why you'd have to write a letter if we.
So
yeah.
that's a whole nother ballgame. And you can do it, but we two different things are going on here. Yes? One is the new,
You can
for
do
this-
both. I mean,
I
because
said one is new, and then some is what you were talking about, these numbers.
yes.
Okay. And so the board, I mean, it's fine, you know, whatever the board wants to do.
as a reminder to the board, you had a motion and a second.
Yeah.
Before the discussion started, so you'll need some type of vote to come out of the motion and the second regardless.
Right,
Okay.
right. So, Board, is there any other discussion?
I think my discussion at this point is that I would like to, maybe, once we vote on this, if it doesn't pass, is to maybe separate the votes and vote on just the ones currently, and make sure that we have a highlight of Mrs. Justice's concern on those, deal with that one, and then we can deal with the other one. Because as Ms. Legan has pointed, that's sort of two different processes, and I think for clarity for me, it would be helpful
Okay,
if the board would approve.
okay. Board, any other discussion on that? Okay, so we do.
Mr. Terry?
Yes, sir.
So I guess we're gonna have to break down everything that Don brought up and separate it out from current
Yes,
and post. Well, it's actually still current, right?
it is still correct,
It's just,
but it's not up for vote.
right, but it's still something that if we don't send in a letter, they're gonna say Amherst County supports this legislation or this understanding of what VSBA is putting out there, right? And that may not reflect on our community, which is exactly what we're trying to stop. We don't want that. Someone's gonna find some of this stuff to be kind of repulsive, to be honest with you. And they're gonna put it out there, and we're gonna be on that list of names of, they support this. And as a community and as a board, we do not support it. And the only way to get us off of that post legislation that's already sitting out there is to have ourselves write a letter and remove ourselves from that, right? It'll put, this is what we really think about it. Other than just abstaining from a vote on current stuff, that just means that we said no, but everybody else in that room said yes. It passes and we're back in the same boat, right? So here we are with old legislation, right, that passed VSBA. We voted against it with our representative. So when it comes up, well, everybody in VSBA supported it. We were just outvoted. Then we send another letter saying we don't support this stuff, right? So whether it's today or last month, it's still stuff we don't support. So, I mean, I understand the reason to separate, but we're cleaning up an old mess and trying to keep good on the first, what's coming to be, is my understanding of it. Now, I could be wrong, but that's my understanding. So as far as separating it out, I guess we would have to vote on the current motion.
Well, let's make sure there's no other discussion first. So, Board, any other discussion? Yes, ma'am.
Can I ask, this is just in the details, who's writing the letter? And I guess it's got to be done by next week, correct? I mean, and if Mrs. Legan is our representative, Does she sign it? We sign it as a board? How does this work?
Has
As a
been voted
newbie.
on by the board and the board chair. I'm going. I'm not right, but yeah, I have to write it because it's a board decision.
Right. Right. Okay. All right, any other discussion, board? Okay. So we have a motion and a second. We've had discussion. So I'll call the vote. So I cannot read all that again. No. The motion is for every,
Randy has it.
the motion is for the board to approve legislative proposals 3, 4, 5, and 6, but to not approve 1, 2, and 7, and then write a letter of rejection of 4.5, 4.19, 4.23, 1.11, 10.5, 10.17, and 10.18. That is how the motion is currently. So the only ones that are there for approval this year are numbers 1 through 7. And they are voted on this year. So, but as the motion is presented, it incorporates everything. So if there's a different way we want to propose it, I'm not telling you how to vote, but I'm just saying this would be voted down and we would discuss it in a different motion. So,
Mr. Chair,
yes, ma'am.
can I have one clarifying question?
Yes.
If we separate it and we vote to abstain from 1, 2, and 7, as been, the motion has been made, then it goes to the full vote of the VSBA that's at the delegate. If they approve it, it moves forward with legislation. Our name is still included on that list, but at that point, if we wanted our name removed, we would have to write a second letter.
As long as our objection is in writing, it doesn't matter if it's at the time of vote or post-vote, or
So-
approval, I guess.
I guess the logic that you and Ms. Justice is saying is that if you just, in one motion, you do the letter to do all of these things, then it would be taken care of currently and in the future.
Correct.
Okay, I did not understand that.
But my question would be is what if it didn't pass at the VSBA and we're having our names removed from something that doesn't exist? I'm just asking, I don't know.
No, well, Mr. Terry,
Well,
if I
go on.
might add. So these aren't actually new positions, they are changes to current positions.
Yes.
So I was just going to explain my vote that's coming up here in just a second. So I agree with everything that, the motion in general. I'm going to vote no, only so that we can bring it back up and split it to have conversation about the two separate topics.
Okay. Okay. Is there any other discussion? Does anyone need me to read this again? Okay. All right, so there is a motion, there is a second, there has been discussion. All in favor of the motion as presented?
Aye.
All against?
Aye.
Aye. Okay, so the motion failed. So now, if there's something different someone would like to propose, fine. Otherwise,
I make a motion to approve legislative proposal 3, 4, 5, and 6, and to not approve legislative proposals 1, 2, and 7.
Second it.
all right, we have a motion and a second. So board, is there any discussion of those 7 items as they are presented? Okay. Well, I am hearing none, so we'll call the vote. All in favor of the motion as presented?
Aye.
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 Aye. All opposed?
I'm just going to abstain.
Okay, yes, ma'am. Okay. So we have taken care of what needs to be voted on.
And the
At the
letter's gonna be
VSBA.
written when?
We haven't voted
I'm
on
just
a letter
asking.
yet.
There's, we don't have a letter.
Oh,
I mean,
We divided the motion.
I know, but I thought, I don't know what I thought.
So we need a second motion if we're going to do a letter.
is, th- is there anything else before we move on? Okay.
Or, Mr. Chair, I make a motion that we draft a letter to VSBA making a statement of rejection of legislative position 4.5, 4.19, 4.23, 1.11, 10.5, 10.17, and 10.18.
Okay. So there is a motion. Do I have a second?
Second.
Okay. So discussion on the proposed motion. Anything from the board?
So my question, Ms. Justice, is on 4.5, you're saying that one, can you explain what that one,
Yes.
4.5 is?
So if you read the position, it says, attempts to credit temporary supplemental pay for retirement purposes should be rejected. And then it says, refrain from requiring employer payment of member contributions or payment based on compensation which includes salary supplements. From my understanding, it would seem that that would, a few months back, we approved a policy that teachers who are driving school bus, that their school bus pay is going to be included in their VRS matching. And so this position would go against that, as I plain read it. And so that's not in the best interest of our teachers, especially these days where we have so many doing extra.
Right, and that's why I'm
pieces.
asking this question is, so, I mean, so that was a recent change that they had made to VRS to allow that. So, Dr. Wells, do you have any idea of
Looking.
around this and why
Ms. LaCon
somebody would be proposing to take that away? Because that's as somebody who works in a school system, who gets a supplemental pay, it's nice if it's included in your VRS. So why would you want to take that away or not allow it?
It's on page X, Roman numeral 18.
So while he's reading, I'm going to make my other comment about 4.19, the one with, about the allowing volunteers of felony convictions. I think that's really a tough one, right? Because where do you draw the line? And what happens when you allow one and something goes wrong? Then are you putting the school division in a very precarious situation? I can see it from both sides because I've met and talked with some felons who have obviously been reformed and could make great mentors for children to see what not to do. But if I had to make a vote on that today, I would vote against it. Because one, we wouldn't hire employees. That's not a decision that we can make as a board. That comes to us from the state that says we can't hire someone who's committed a felony. So I think that's something that would take a lot of conversation around, and if you were to do that, to really craft an in-depth policy to protect the board, to protect the students, to make sure that, who we would be allowing in our buildings. And it's sad to have to say that, but that's, I think, one of our number one jobs is to make sure that we're protecting our student body from any potential harm.
Mr. Chair.
Yes, sir.
So I'm going to make a recommendation, and y'all can take it or not. These positions are already passed. It makes no difference when that letter is written. The letter can be written tomorrow, it can be written in January or February. I think it would be good for the board, if you want to do a letter regarding this, to take time to look at these legislative positions, to research it, because I don't think many of you, knew this was going to be discussed tonight, and that request or came later, so you have not had a chance to really spend time digging into these positions, the existing positions. And so if the board so chooses to do a letter, I think it would be good for you to take the time to individually and as a board to look at these recommendations and then come back possibly at a later date, draft the letter, so if you so choose, and then send it to the VSBA after you've had a chance to really dig into what these positions are. Because these aren't going to be voted on. The ones, you've already decided which your position is there. The letter can come at a later date if you so choose as a board. That's just, again, that's a recommendation.
Okay. Okay.
A lot of information, and I'd like to know more about some of this and what your thoughts are, because I don't want to make a rash decision, and I don't want to sit here for the next 2 hours and debate it either. So, I would like to see that we talk about this later. Table it.
Yes, ma'am.
I would be agreeable to that, as long as legislators go into session in, what, February? Mid-January?
It's a short
So,
session this year, so it's mid-January.
as long as we were to do this prior to that, and VSBA has our dissenting letter, then they would remove our names. Is that correct, Ms. Ligon, Ms. Justice?
I can't answer that because I've never done that, but I could find out tomorrow quite quickly, I've only been involved, it's not that I haven't read it, everything is in there, but this board has never did anything with the old or the already legislature. This is the first time, so it's fairly new. But surely, I can ask if the Amherst wants to be removed from those numbers. But as Dr. Wells said, which I was thinking, that it's kind of not, can't do anything with it right now, except make them aware, which we can do that, surely. But I will find out the answer to that question in the morning as soon as they open.
And it's in the legislative handbook as well.
It is.
Ms. Justice, do you think that we have time to address this in December?
Absolutely.
I think you could really realistically bring it on the discussion for December. We could also have discussion and final decision in January and still get it in before the legislative session begins in late January.
Okay. So was there a motion?
There was a motion and a
Okay,
second.
I couldn't remember if that we'd gotten there. So, all right, so there is a motion and a second. Do I need to read it again? You know what it is? Okay. All right, we've had a motion, we've had a second, we've had discussion. All in favor of drafting the letter now and going with the motion? All opposed? Aye.
I'm abstaining.
Thank you, ma'am. Okay. All right. Board, anything else we need to address here? Guess not. Okay. Dr. Wells,
Consent agenda.
where are we?
Consent agenda.
5.01.
5.01.
5.0. Okay. Where can I get a motion on the consent agenda?
Mr. Chair, I make a motion that we approve tonight's consent agenda.
Second?
Okay. We have a motion and a second. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Okay. Dr. Wells?
6 administrative, we'll start with Dr. Hood. Dr. Hood?
All right, we have, first of all, we're going to go over some construction updates for you. Today was a day of rain, so we did not get that long wall there. If you see above the A, they are, you see the fourth red stripe up there. They are about 4 or 5 courses shy of getting to the roof. So Mr. Rokes is going to go over some pictures for you.
All righty, so like Dr. Hood said, they are making significant progress on wrapping up the outside of the building as far as the brick goes. And we're not making any progress here with this. Oh, on works pretty good, going good. All right, here we go. So the masonry work, go back a little bit into history and time. October 10th is on the left. That's the first few courses related back on the back side of the building around the classroom section. October 21st, the picture on the right-hand side, you can see the courses coming up. Again, that is the corner of the building right where the transformer is, actually where the first block was laid on the building several months ago. And here we are today, early this week on the 13th. Again, the picture on the left is from the transformer. We're looking down the backside of the classrooms and out toward the auditorium from that corner to your left. And the picture on the right is standing on the other corner of the building, looking at the front of the cafeteria and back toward the auditorium as well. And again, this picture was yesterday, I believe it was, early yesterday morning when I took this picture. So they've, like Dr. Hoden said, they've come all the way up to about 3 to 4 courses from the roof line now. A lot of things that you don't see as you drive by, the things that are going on inside the structure itself. This right here is the bathroom outside, as we call it, the main street outside the auditorium. This is the piping for the sinks. The picture on the left is actually inside the auditorium. They have, I don't know. There we go. The picture on the left is the inside the auditorium, and you look also at the picture on the right, you see the walls are white in some areas, so they've already started to put the primer coat and sealant on the inside of the block. And of course, the final painting will come much later, but they're trying to get all this sealed up and primed inside the building right now as well. Electrical lines, HVAC, fire alarm lines, those type of things, all those mechanical and things you don't see that make the building work or going in place as we speak. The picture on the right, you also see those tubes up to the ceiling there. They're the HVAC lines going across the auditorium section, and so all those are pretty much roughed in. The services part are pretty much HVAC is about to finish the auditorium part, and will soon be migrating. They just got a bunch of more vents in today and this week, and we're working over toward the cafeteria. The pictures on the left here is again from the rooftop. It was roughly about a month or so ago, right before the October meeting. And if you notice up on the top part, the auditorium wall on the left side of the picture, there's no brick or anything there. And on the right-hand side, you're looking on top of the girls' locker room rooftop. Since that time, if you look to the left, a little bit hard to see in this picture. You'll see the gentleman up on the scaffold. The brick on the back side of the building has been completed all the way up to the roof line, all the way around the building, except, again, like we said, on the parking lot side. And also on the roof over top, the girls' locker room, that has been finished. The roofers come in and done that as well. The other thing you can't see, it's hard to see from these pictures, is the fact that the roof over top the auditorium section is probably about 3/4 the way completed now, with liner put on, those type of things. So they're working back toward the back side of the building, trying to get that complete and dried in. November 1st. It's hard to believe we've been at this for a year now. So November 1st, 2023, that's what it looked like. On November 2nd of 2023, the first construction trailer came in, and then on the 3rd is when Jameson Lewis came in. So we've seen these pictures plenty of times before. And this thing, there you go. Thank you. Getting on up through August, September. Here we go. And we'll slow down as we get to today. Back up one, please. Up. Oh, taking my thunder. Go forward one more. Oh, well. Anyway, you see most of the pictures. The story is progression is going good. We're looking to get in there in the March-April time frame. And Again, the deal is hoping to get it dried in and closed in by the end of next month is what we're shooting for. A lot of the block and brickwork will be complete. There's a lot of things going inside the structure, like I said, you don't see as you drive by it. So, and again, so your infomercial, go ahead and hit it one more time. Thank you. But wait, there's more. And there is more to go. And Dr. Hoden will tell you what else is going up there. In addition to these projects, he's talked to you about some things going on also. Winter project going on at the high school, door projects going on at the school division. Also have fire alarms replacing in 6 schools right now. That's underway as well. These construction projects. So, and that is in addition to maintaining our buildings for the safety and security of our students and staff every single day. So just a little bit going on in the maintenance department.
Yep, we're rolling on. As Mr. Oaks said, the doors are actually scheduled for the new building to be here on December 10th, so they're hoping to have everything, what they call dried in, December 13th, as Mr. Oaks said, so then all the internal stuff can begin, and that'll all be safe. So next is the field house. So you can see on the left there, grading off, and then same thing on the right picture there, the grading off for the slab. And then on the left-hand side, you'll see it's framed in with some of the plumbing, and on the right side, you'll see the conduit for the electrical. And there is the building, came in on tractor trailers and being unloaded. We are rolling on that. However, we've had 2 rains that have slowed us down. Can't really complain about that because we've had it pretty dry, but unfortunately, these last 2 rains have come at an inopportune time, so we can't get the gravel down because the soil is a little bit too wet, so we're just having to wait. So hopefully we'll get that rolling. And then the next picture is totally something different. I had told you at the beginning of the year when we ordered buses, we actually went a different route with one of them. This is an activity bus that actually can take 14 students and a driver. So your smaller, your tennis, your wrestling, cross country, or someone going a long distance that only has a few athletes, this can take 14 students. Now, one of the main reasons why we purchased this, a lot of times your tennis and cross country, those trips have to leave early. And when the drivers have to get the students home first, it's later that they leave. The coach can drive this bus with a minimal training. They do not have to have a CDL, just a minimal training that the state provides that curriculum. So we will be training some of our coaches. Now, some of them that have a CDL can jump right on it, but the ones that do not can take this bus and head on out, and we don't have to wait for the drivers, to get the students home, etc. So this was a pretty cool purchase, and they were able to. We diagrammed up some stencils, and they were able to do a really nice job. We just took delivery of this yesterday, so excited for this to be in our fleet.
And one other project I failed to mention too, and Mr. Porter, I know you'll appreciate this. The greenhouse has also started, and everything was laid out this week. Rain again held us up today, but the frames are in place and everything goes right. Hopefully that'll start going up in the air tomorrow. So we have a contractor working on that, and hopefully in the next few weeks we'll have the greenhouse up at Amherst Middle School as well.
And then I was hoping to have one last update for you tonight. When I spoke to the folks at DCGS on the school safety grant, they told us it'd be last week, but we still don't have anything. So I'm hoping to get that because we have to spend the money by May, and it's getting crunch time. So we're hoping that we get that information in the next week or so, and I'll be able to pass that on to you in December. Any questions for Mr. Oaks on any of the construction or anything we went over?
Board, any questions? Yes, sir.
Dr. Hoden, what is the dimensions of the field house?
60 by
62 by 122.
So yeah, 60 by 120, roughly.
7,000 and some odd square feet.
Yeah.
Board, any other questions?
And that includes the restrooms, the field, the concession stand, and then the large area for baseball.
Okay. Thank you, gentlemen. Next.
Next, we have Dr. Patrone with our Foreign Families Forward Partnership. Dr. Patrone.
Good evening, Mr. Chair, members of the board. We were recently approached by Formed Families Forward, which I have to say slowly because it is hard to say for some reason. But they are a parent engagement organization out of Northern Virginia. And at your place, you have a handout that it talks about the services that they exist in providing in Northern Virginia. These are not services that they're going to be providing to us, but it gives you the background of their organization. They approached us about a grant opportunity. They actually have received a grant to study family engagement in schools. And our positive reputation for family engagement got them interested in Amherst County. And they came and met with Dr. Wells and I to talk about supporting 2 of our schools in improving their family engagement and kind of just taking data and studying that along the way. So we have talked about that a little bit and decided that the high school and Manellison Middle School are our 2 schools that would be the ones that we want to improve the most, where we want to move the needle the most on family engagement. And so we are considering entering into this partnership with Formed Families Forward so that they can provide us some support in that area. Now, again, they would not be providing the services that are on this paper. This is just the background of their organization. What they would be doing is acting in like a consultation role and trying to help us plan really good, successful family engagement events. And they would be using our administrators and our division goals and trying to help support us with that, with finances, and also with collecting data and helping us improve. Any questions about that?
Board, any questions? Yes, ma'am.
Quick question, you said they would provide financing?
Yes, so things they talked about, they were kind of open-ended on that, but they were talking about like marketing materials, like designing flyers and sending them home to families, sending home educational materials to families, stuff like that.
Do we know where their money comes from?
They got a grant. Dr. Wells, can you remember what university they partnered with? It was a university grant to study family engagement.
I can't remember the name of the college, but
Thank you.
Board, any other questions? Thank you, Dr. Turner.
Okay, 6.03, you have the October suspension report.
Board, any questions on that?
All right, that's it for me, Dr. Wells.
Yeah.
Thank you, sir.
Mr. Chair, members of the board, next we have Mr. Connors with Finance.
Good evening, Mr. Chair, members of the board. Before you tonight is your October financial report. We are operating as anticipated. When you look at your expenditure report and your object code summary, you'll notice that the encumbrances are now on that report, as we discussed at the last meeting. When you look at the object code summary, you have the same overages we've discussed. There is one new one, and that was a small overage in the supplements. That is because we did have a few more employees that came on that were getting an intensive support or stipend. And also, there are some carryover funds and some supplemental appropriations, and those are going to be giving a budget for that line. So that will clear up eventually once everything is in place. And also, you had to discuss the 3120 line, the contracted services, and the same thing holds true with that, with some of the supplemental appropriations that will help assist in those lines as well. We are continuing to monitor our normal areas that can be unpredictable, like the sales tax, and we've only had 2 months. It is a little bit lower than it was last year. I'm not alarmed yet. We'll just keep looking at it. Our utilities seem to be okay with what we have budgeted. Fuel is lower than what we had budgeted. And again, ADM, it's not where we want it to be, but we'll keep monitoring it. And it's early in the year, but it'll just stay on our radar. Do you have any questions?
Board, any questions? Yes, sir.
So you mentioned taxes. Any other concerns that you have with our budget and looking in the crystal ball?
Not at this time. Not at this time. Again, it's you know, I know it's through October. It is still early. We will see, you know, we'll have a new calc tool in December to see where we stand. Our funding's based on that March ADM. And the one area, if you look at the object code report under VRS, you will see it is an available balance there. And that was one of the things that changed this year with VRS, is that they split, and while they lowered the rates for the defined benefit, you have a defined contribution, and it can sway either way based on what their voluntary amount is. So an employee, a legacy employee, is always 14.21. A hybrid employee can go up to 17.71. And like into discussing with other divisions, we just kept it at the 16.62 just to see where it is. So that's one of the areas that, you know, we've discussed as well, and we're diving into that number. You know, so there's little areas like that we can look if the ADM does not pick up. So, you know, while we're monitoring it, we're also looking for possible ways to resolve anything that comes up.
What about on the insurance side of things with the self-insurance and?
So the health insurance has been lower than last year. And at this point, I don't anticipate that we would have to pull from the reserve. We will just keep monitoring it. The reserve at this point, if once the audit is finalized and it's official, we would still have the 1.7 million in the reserve. But I'm hoping that we stay on that trend.
Thank you.
Board, any other questions for Ms. Lukanich? Okay, thank you, ma'am.
All right. Next, we have Dr. Norman with the instructional update. Oh, you got more for? I'm sorry, the
I
audit.
apologize. I actually have a second item today, but it is, just for information, we are providing the school's student activity fund audit and the financial report. Again, it's coming to you tonight as information. Please review it. If you have any questions, reach out. We'll be bringing this back to you next month for the discussion, and we'll answer anything that you may have.
Okay,
Thank you.
thank you, ma'am.
Sorry, Ms.
Now, Dr. Wells, go
All
ahead.
right, sorry, Ken. All right, now Dr. Norman.
Thank you. Mr. Chair and members of the board, I have several memos for you tonight. The first one that I would like to talk to you in regards is the Office of School Improvement. It's the update. It deals specifically with our accreditation and our ratings and our monitoring. So at our last meeting, we discussed three schools that are under monitoring from the state under the accreditation system: Amelon Elementary, Amherst Middle School, and Amherst County High School, all showing a level 2 in academic achievement. And that could be specifically with a subgroup, or that could be with chronic absenteeism, or that could be with corrective action plan under participation rate in testing. That is what currently our high school is under right now. The next steps that we have from the state is a targeted action plan, which we will submit that to the state by December 6th. We've already done a pre-submission. They have already approved it. And we will move forward with all of the requirements that we have there to provide the division support plan, our school's support plan. VDOE will monitor us in regards to what we say we're going to do, and then monitor the school administration and their plans at the school on what they say they're going to do, to make sure that we are monitoring their data, we're monitoring instruction in the classroom, and then the results at the end of the school year. So we have a timeline from them that they will give us at our December meeting. So we haven't gotten all that information yet. We just know that that's a process that these three schools will have to go through. And then, of course, the progress monitoring will take place, where we as a division will have to monitor what the schools are doing, which we already have a process in place for that, and we've already been doing that this year. For these three schools, we actually have already been in 3 times for instructional rounds, meetings with their leadership teams, working with their support, and then doing walkthroughs in our classrooms along with lesson plan reviews. and I'll answer any questions in regards to the accreditation piece of the school accountability, if you have.
Board, any questions?
Okay.
Yes, sir.
I've been sitting up here for a minute, and I think there was conversation ever since I sat on this side of the table here about the accreditation process and where we were. How long have these schools been on the radar?
These 3 schools, this is their second year as a level 2. So they went into a level 2 last year. They're in a level 2 this year. We made changes in regards to instructional practices, implementation of new processes in their building. They improved in their scores, but not enough to get to a level 1.
So we've seen improvement, so.
Yes, sir.
Why is it now that the state decides they need to come in if they're seeing the improvement?
Because it went past that level. That level 2 has been sitting there for 2 years. So once you get into that second year or third year or fourth year, once you go deeper, they do multiple things. So this is almost like a desk audit that the state does. The state will not come in to these 3 schools like they would if we were on a year 5 or a year 4.
Understand?
So it's a instructional audit basically from the state.
Right, they're just kind of looking, seeing what we're doing.
Exactly.
What we're doing is sort of working, but not up to their satisfaction.
not at the
They're not
pace.
going to come in and tell us how we need to do.
Correct. It's not at the pace that we need it to
One of the
be.
things was about one student.
Right. So, for example, Amherst County High School, they're under corrective action right now for their assessment program. And I don't know, Mr. Neighbors, if you want to jump in here. But we have students that are assessed, and we did not meet that assessment rate. We have to have a 95% participation rate, and we missed it by 2 students. Do you want to add anything?
We did miss it by 2 students, both of whom were in very unusual circumstances. So there's quite a bit that's done to make sure that all students, regardless of how they're participating with us, are brought in. In this case, it was 2 scenarios where we simply weren't able to bridge that enough for the family to be able to have the student come in and participate. We've shored some of that up, and that's what the plan is all about, to make sure that doesn't happen again. But there are those razor-thin margins, as we're talking about, hitting that, in this case, 100% participation rate just for those couple of kiddos. It took us down with that.
Now, with the state coming in, do we feel that our program is strong enough to meet their expectations? Do we think that we're going to be successful this coming year?
Oh, yes, sir.
And moving forward?
Yes, sir.
Identified our issues, and now we're going to move past it, correct?
Yes, sir.
All right, I'm going to hold you to it.
Okay.
All right.
Yes, sir.
Just a quick
John.
question on the 95% and the 2 students.
Yes, sir.
We missed it by more than 2, right? Because was it just two? That was it, and that took us below
Yeah,
95?
they were looking at a particular
Math.
subgroup. That's why it was only 2 that were able to take us down to 95.
Okay.
Yeah.
Small subgroup.
Very small. Yes, sir.
Board, any other questions? Yes, ma'am.
Mr. Chair, I know that we have the state coming in to do some monitoring. We have the federally identified schools, so there's going to be, I guess, a monitoring process with that as well?
Yes, and that's in the 3rd memo. I'll get to that.
Okay, well, when you get there.
Yes,
I'll go
ma'am.
ahead and throw out what I was thinking. I was curious as to how the 2 monitoring things might overlap. Because when I get really overwhelmed with all of these plans and memos, I know that the teachers are really feeling it.
They are.
So is it something, and you can address this later, but is this something that if we can streamline it, that you can do because it's just good practice versus having to just jump through different hoops to make the state and the feds
Yes, ma'am.
happy?
So
So
what-
that's, you can,
Yeah, and I'll be more than happy to answer that now because it fits right in with what we as a executive team here at the division level have chosen to do this year. Down from the superintendent all the way down, we have streamlined our requirements for the schools in regards to instructional leadership and instructional implementation, starting with the We used to have the Virginia Tiered Systems of Support. We still have that, but it has been addressed through our Virginia Support Framework that the state is requiring us to do. And in doing that, we have one system in place where our superintendent requires his quarterly reviews to use that school support plan, where we as a division meet for our tiered systems of support uses that school support plan. Our instructional rounds, our instructional support system, we use the school support plan and the division support plan. So it's all in one system, one document, one action step, and we're able to use that for multiple things, whether it's the state or whether it's the federal government. It's that one plan. And that's been helpful, but it's brand new this year, so that's what's overwhelming.
So I guess what I'm hearing you say is if we can stick to that,
Yes, ma'am.
that it would meet the requirements for both the federal and the state.
Yes, ma'am.
And it's going to require our PLCs to be
Yes.
working together on those as well.
Everything runs through the way that we have it set up this year. It's not cherry picking or a hodgepodge. Every instructional decision runs through the PLC process and the school support team for every building in our division.
And making sure we're looking at student data and making decisions based off most recent data that we have.
And how long have we had PLCs?
At the elementary, we've had PLCs probably about 5 years. Longer than that, probably. I started it when I came here at Madison Heights Central and Amelon, when we implemented data decision-making. We have had it at the secondary level, going through departments, which didn't work as well as we needed it to. So last year, we implemented it for content area by grade level, and that has worked really well. And this year, we have streamlined it to where it's been implemented into master schedules.
There is a system that's supposed to be coming to help collect the data. No, I don't know if it's collect, but disaggregate the data or something.
Laser,
Can you tell me
yes,
just
ma'am.
a laser?
Yes.
And when do we get that?
It was supposed to be out November 1st.
And I know that we've had some board that's asked for some more timely data reports.
Yes.
So I'm assuming that that's being looked at? Okay.
I can give you access to individual student data for every kid in this division, by school, by grade level, by teacher, by kid. I don't know if you want that, all of that information. That's a lot.
Well, the answer to that for me would be no.
Yeah, it
I
is
would
very
think that you would be looking at the overall. I
We-
mean, yes, it's very
Yes.
important for an individual student.
We do have
parent
that.
to look at that. But overall, how are our subgroups doing? How
Yes.
are our grade levels doing?
Yes.
That's not individual students. So if we're not able to get that on a timely basis, will Laser be able to give that to us on a timely basis?
Laser changes every day. It has, anytime a teacher puts something in the grade book, it syncs at night with Power School and our grade book, and it is attendance, it's behavior, it's grades in the classroom, it's any state testing that they've done. The problem is with the state, they haven't determined the timeline on it yet. So I can pull it up and show you, but the problem is it is pulling a year's worth of data. So it doesn't just show me only what we started with in August. It shows me from November to November, November 23 to November 2024, which that's good because it shows me trend data. But for me to know as a fourth grade class, this fourth grade group, how are they doing this year in a fifth grade concept? That's where the state's not releasing it that way.
Okay, so Laser is not going to give us everything that we need.
It
Because
will
we're not
once
going
the
to get how our
state
students
fixes
are
it.
performing in real time.
It will, once the state fixes it. They're working on it. They have been for about 2
Okay,
months now.
so I guess my question will be, what are we going to do until the state fixes it? Because
So-
this is very common that the state
Yes.
promises something and we
We
wait for it and we I
have
mean, we
our,
can't wait until January and February to get this information.
I'm not. I have a tracking tool for every grade level, every subgroup. The problem is that entire data sheet that we have drills it down to the student. So I can see division, I can print you out a report that will show you that. My problem is if I give it to you electronically, you get everything. I can't hide stuff that you can't access. And we have subgroups that are very small that is confidential information. I don't know if you want that. I would give it to you if you ask me for it. I'll give you the big picture. I don't know if it's responsible to be able to give that to you, individual students. That's my concern.
Well, for me, I've already answered that.
True.
I don't want that for those reasons.
Yes.
I guess what I want is for you and your staff to be able to give us that summative data on a
And we're working-
9 weeks basis.
I just did
And-
quarterly, I'm sorry. I just did quarterly reviews, and so I'm compiling that now from what they gave me, and I'll have it for you within the next couple of weeks.
Well, that might be one way to do it. If they know their data, if they own their data at the school level, the administrators know their data at the school level. They ought to be able to get that data to you, and you can get it to us on a timely basis.
Right.
Dr. Norman, what system or format is this data in that you have?
It's in a Google spreadsheet because we really did not think that we would have to go through this. We were told last summer or this summer that Laser would be up and ready, and then they released it, and then now they're having problems with the time frame that we can't go in and snapshot a specific time.
But you said you were able to print a division summary from your spreadsheet?
Not from Laser, from my own data.
Right, from yours.
Yes. And I can,
Does that not give us what we've asked for? I've been asking for this since May.
yeah, I have. Yes, sir.
Could I get that?
I can print it out for you now.
Thank you.
Board, anything else on current topic?
Mr. Terry,
Yes, sir.
what's PLC?
Professional Learning Community.
Thank you. And
You're welcome.
Laser,
Laser is the logistics, analytical,
Student something report,
student,
achievement or something. I've got to look it up.
all right, good. I'm not
I
the
don't
only
know.
one. All
No,
right.
it's a state acronym.
Learning
came up with
analytics to support education and reporting.
thank you.
Wow, that was way different.
Google is
Okay,
my
thank
friend.
you. It's way different than what I had written down, that's all.
Okay.
Okay.
You want the next?
Yeah, I'm fiddling by school.
Be okay, we'll go through the rest of the
Absolutely,
memos
yeah,
and then
please don't
get
hold
it
the
to
meeting
you
up for that,
while I'm
yes.
talking.
Yeah. So the next thing on the list is the division support plan. This is the preliminary. It goes to the state by January, I believe. We've already submitted our first draft in July. It is 4 domains. This was something that we had to do last year to prepare for this year. This is the plan, Ms. Thompson, that everything kind of rolls through. The division has one, each school has one. This is how Dr. Wells has his quarterly reports. And it is a very specific in regards to the 4 domains. We have to have this plan that will monitor the 3 schools for accreditation purposes that I just talked about. And this is the plan that will actually monitor our 3 federally identified schools as well. and I'll be happy to answer any questions in regards to that.
Board, any questions?
Okay. The next memo you have is in regards to the federally identified schools. Last month, we came to you and discussed Central Elementary, Madison Heights, and Manellison Middle School. We have met with the Virginia Department of Education and the federal monitor just to give some information to us on what some of the requirements would be. We have a meeting set up in 2 weeks with our liaison, who will then give us our timeline of what we're required to do with these 3 schools. The first thing is that we were supposed to have a division plan. We have that. All of our schools have to have a support plan. We did pre-submission of those support plans today to the Virginia Department of Education so they could work with their liaison on it. It has their data analysis, all of the information that each of the schools need to have. With that, we have to have an application for school improvement that goes to the state November the 25th. With that also goes our division plan, each of the 3 schools plan, the application for improvement, as well as a submission for the school improvement grant that is $50,000 for each school, and what we're requesting for that amount. The first visit that we will actually have from the state will be sometime in December, and they will let us know next week when that actual date will be and which schools they'll go into.
Okay.
Any questions?
Board, any questions? Yes, sir.
So I hope I don't regret asking this question. But with the conversation that's been in the news about doing away with the Department of Ed, how would that affect these 3 schools?
I could not tell you how that would impact. I can't, I don't think it would go away for these schools this year. And for federally identified, you're only in for 1 year. And then you, based on your assessments, you're ranked again with all the other schools, and you can come out in a year or you can stay in for up to 3 years. So I don't think it'll do anything. I don't think it'll change anything for these schools this year.
Mr. Chair?
Yes, ma'am.
Dr. Norman, of these 3 schools, how many times have they been federally identified before?
Central Elementary has been identified once back in 2013, and Madison Heights Elementary was identified in 2014.
And Manellison's never been identified.
And Manellison has never been identified.
Thank you.
Any other questions?
Board, any other questions?
Okay.
Thank you, ma'am.
The last thing on this is by December 6th, we're required to do an update for our division literacy plan. If you'll remember, under the Virginia Literacy Act, we have to have a comprehensive plan using their template. We brought this to you back in June, where the board consented to it. We had July, the Virginia Department of Education submitted to us feedback on what we were supposed to do to update the plan. We met with the administrators. We've met with our reading specialists. We've met with classroom teachers, and we've gone through and we've done a red line with the plan that you have up on board docs, just saying what the changes were. One of the things that we did not have on the original plan was the core textbook program for K through 5. And once the board decided on what that was and we implemented, we've adjusted that into the plan. Most of it was just making sure that our subgroups were identified in the plan. what our program was. The only thing that we have left is that once we do supplemental materials for our secondary, that will need to be added as well. But we wanted to give you that update. We'll take off the red lines and then submit to the state by December 6th. And I'll answer any questions you have on that.
Board, any questions? Yes, ma'am.
I noticed one of the red lines says that the gifted population assessing additional challenge text and inquiry-based activities. And then it lists all of the, like, ELL students with disabilities. It goes through all the different subgroups, but the only curriculum it's listing for the gifted is Lexia Core 5 reading. Is that the only one that's going to be used with them?
I don't think so, but I will check just to make sure.
Okay, if there's additional, can you let us know what they are? And
Yes, ma'am. These are in addition to what we were already using that are approved by the state. So,
Okay.
but yeah, I can get you a list of that.
Thank you.
Board, anything else? Thank you, Dr. Norman.
All right.
Okay, the next thing that I have on my list, I would like to ask Ms. Tracy Miller-Good and Mr. Maddox to come up. They are going to present to you tonight the program of studies that we do regularly, and I'll turn it over to them.
Good evening, Mr. Chair and school board members. Mr. Maddox and I will be presenting updates to the program of studies as an informational item for you. The program of studies is updated every year. It is a guide for students and families in regards to state graduation requirements, the programs that we offer through Amherst County Public Schools, course overviews, as well as other program overviews such as Gov School, CTE Academy, STEM Academy, and the Early College Program. So one of the first things we did was to add a section on academic and career plans. So academic and career plans is a regulation that is required through the Virginia Department of Education. The academic and career plan is completed by the end of the 8th grade year. It is supposed to be reviewed at the beginning or before the 11th grade year. However, since most of our career and technical education programs begin in 10th grade, school counselors will be reviewing academic and career plans with 9th grade students when they're discussing their course selection for the upcoming school year. We offer Admentum, which is an online program, but we added information on Admentum with what the program is and who is eligible to take courses. For the diploma charts in the program of studies, it has information on the Advanced Studies Diploma and the Standard Diploma. But to add more clarity is that we added that the English writing and reading SOL assessments, which are required, are administered in the English 11 course. So we just took what the Virginia Department of Education had and just made it for what our students take at Amherst County. Also added information that all 8th graders take World Geography, which is a high school credit course. It also fulfills a graduation requirement in that it can satisfy their credit as well as their verified credit. So if students pass that World Geography SOL, they will not have to take an SOL while they're in high school. So we just wanted to make sure that our students and families were aware of that. We tell them that when we go into the classrooms, but also to have it written. Then hopefully that will help them be more successful in passing the class and the SOL. For the early college program, this is a program that is offered through the community college. We just added a statement that students must apply to both the community college and the early college program. There are two different applications. Some students thought if they just applied to CVCC, that was all that they needed to do, but they needed to apply to both the community college and the early college program. We also added information on the dual enrollment option with the University of Lynchburg for our Teachers for Tomorrow. We already offer that course at the high school, but for the 25-26 school year, there will be a dual enrollment option with the University of Lynchburg at no cost to our students to earn college credit and high school credit simultaneously. and we are actually piloting this program with the University of Lynchburg. We have a couple of new elective course offerings that will be offered at the high school. This is just to provide just additional for students who have expressed an interest in the creative writing program, as well as the advanced physical education. Not only are these elective credits, but they also will satisfy sequential course electives for our students, which sequential course electives are a graduation requirement for both standard and advanced studies diplomas. For math, there was just a course revision for the algebra functions and data analysis class. We also added a section for transfer students, and these are students who are entering the high school in Virginia for the very first time. So depending on when they enroll, the grade that they enroll, it will make a difference as to the number of SOL tests that the students have to take. And this is more so for school counselors when they are transcribing our transfer students' information. But we also added an elective course codes so that if it's a course that we might not offer through Amherst County Public Schools, instead of creating a different course for one student, we have a generic course code that could be used in specific areas. And then the students will get the course credit for that and transcribed on their transcript.
Okay, so CTE courses, we are going to replace our communication systems and imaging technology course with a design, multimedia, and web technologies. And then we're going to replace the video media technology with the design, multimedia, and web technologies advanced. So instead of having a 3-year program, it will become a 2-year program. In the graduation course, we gave more information about the course. These are the ones we've always had in there. And then we had some new courses that we added at the bottom for our jobs for Virginia graduates, the teachers for tomorrow, and the cosmetology completers. That'll be the first year that we have students come through that program.
And in addition, we are developing a middle school program of studies. From what I understand, this is the first time in Amherst County, but we felt that it was important for middle school students and their families to also understand the trajectory of their coursework and how it can impact their high school courses as well as future programs. Any questions?
Yes, sir. Childers.
So the new programs that you mentioned, I think like the creative writing, advanced physical education, those will be done with existing staff that we already have, so we're not going to need new.
That is correct. No.
And then the CTE courses, Mr. Maddox, like what are the students going to be learning in the multimedia web technologies class?
They're going to be, those courses actually align with the current courses we have, but we need to change them because teacher licensure. In order to teach the communication systems imaging tech, you have to have a, tech ed licensure. And right now, the teacher teaching it is business and information systems. So we need to change it over so we align that with the teacher licensure. But the course is actually, when you look at them, the competencies mirror each other, and it's actually going to expand some things that they do because you're going to add in not just video and media, but all that's going to be in social media and web pages. So it's actually going to make it bigger and better.
Do we use those students or give them those students opportunities to do video and things like at different athletic events and?
The athletic events and stuff, we used to do that through the technology club.
Used to do that, yeah.
They still do some of that, and we try to pull some of those students into that technology club. They do go around the school, they take pictures, they do things, they work with the marketing, Ms. Four, and they take pictures and stuff for social media and all the things that Ms. Four does. So, but this will give them more of our hands-on and do some different things that they can do, especially adding in the social media and doing the web pages. That's a little different.
Thank you.
Board, anything else?
I just
ma'am.
like to say thank you. I think
Yeah.
the changes have been very responsive. Appreciate it.
Thank you.
Thanks, sir. Okay. moving
Next,
on.
we have Student Services, Mr. Neighbors.
Good evening, Mr. Chair, members of the board. A few quick items for you this evening. First, I wanted to start with our Best Lab data summary. As promised, we want to make sure we're bringing this to you each month so you can see the impact of this new program here in Amherst. As you will see, business continues to be brisk in our Best Labs, particularly Madison Heights. So I want to have a shout out there for our Best Lab operator, our technician, I should say, who is most definitely winning the race in regards to number of visits to that particular lab. But a tremendous amount of work still being done. This just represents the month of October, and in every metric we saw growth with just this 1 month over what we had in August and September. So roughly 6 weeks during that initial time frame, roughly 4 weeks during this time frame, we saw more students. We had over 100 more visits. And again, just seeing really good results from that time students are able to spend with that more targeted support. You'll see here for sure that upper right quadrant or upper right component there, those younger grades continue to be our heaviest hitters, so to speak. We know that's where the needs are. I believe Dr. Petrone and I have probably daily conversations at this point about students in those grades. So we know that was where the support was needed, and that's certainly where that support is being provided as we continue to look at this data. At the bottom, I did want to point out for the board what we're seeing is a continued trend that students are utilizing this more frequently. So with the initial report we provided for everyone, obviously we're getting up to speed within those first 6 weeks. We had the vast majority of students who had only come 9 times or less. In this most recent data for October, the majority, just over 50%, are well over 10 visits to the Best Lab. So we're seeing that being utilized as an effective strategy. We're getting good feedback from teachers, from administrators, even from students themselves about how they're able to go in and utilize that space, and really want to continue to highlight how important this program has been over these first couple of months of school. What we hope to be able to bring to you over the course of the year is some of that anecdotal data I was just referencing there, being able to collect that from the students that are utilizing the Best Lab, the staff that are experiencing the effects of that, as well as administration. So we hope to be able to enhance this data as we're going through some of that feedback for the board as well. But wanted to provide this to you all this evening. Certainly, if there are any questions, be happy to answer those.
Great. Board, any questions? Mr. Gallagher? Mr. Neighbors. Let's go, Mr. Neighbors, sorry.
That's okay.
Got my people mixed up, sorry.
Happens all the time. Yeah. All right.
Hearing none.
Well,
Thank
moving
you,
on
sir.
to my next component there. I did want to notify the board, we were alerted a little bit earlier in the school year that we were the beneficiaries of some monitoring on our side with special education this year. So in 2019, VDOE launched a cyclical monitoring program. So over 6 years, they were going to get to all the divisions in the state. Actually, when they started, it was going to be more like 4 years. I think they realized that wasn't quite attainable at that point, so we pushed that off a little bit. So this year, we have been selected to participate in that program. I've outlined for the board exactly what that'll look like, but needless to say, there's a lot of work on the front end to be able to collect the information that they require. Look at the different files. We're looking at roughly half the students we have identified in the division and making sure that we're hitting the mark where we need to across a number of different domains and areas that they provided to us. We always welcome feedback. We always want to be able to improve. We do anticipate this to be a positive outcome. So looking at the feedback that we get much later in the spring, I think we all hope and assume that that's going to be good, but ultimately looking at that deep dive, the granular level that they go to, it'll be good feedback for us to make sure we're doing everything we need to for identified students. I have provided some important dates and deadlines there for the board to be aware. So by December 20th, just before we go off for Christmas break, all of that initial review is due. So before you put anything in, it's about a 75-page document, a lot of different areas that we have to account for, a number of different student records reviewed, and our team here within the Student Services Office has already been busy and will continue to be over the next 6 weeks or so. On the week of February 24th, we're actually going to have on-site monitoring. They haven't told us where that will be yet, but likely we'll select one school to be able to go in, speak with staff, talk to the administration, have parents also come in and participate in that process, which is very important for us in special education. So kind of seeing what that looks like at the school level, in addition to what we're doing up here at the division level. Sometime in April or May, we anticipate those findings being reported to us, which will then, of course, be reported to the school board. And then what we've laid out for us is getting all of that resolved by the time we report our indicator data in August. So trying to have a pretty quick turnaround on making sure whatever, if there are any findings, I should say, that we get those addressed within that time frame. So wanted the board to be aware that we've been identified, what that looks like. Will be lots of updates as we're going forward. If we find things initially, want to make sure that we're being transparent about that. The outset, they've made it very clear that we don't have to wait, which I wasn't planning on doing anyway. As we're finding concerns, we'll be addressing those as we go through. But so far, it's exactly what we've expected, but it's going to be a long process in front of us, and just wanted the board to be aware. Again, be happy to answer any questions y'all might have.
Board, any questions? Thank you, sir.
All right. Well, last but not least, a piece of very good news that's monitoring year. Apparently, I believe we've got some other folks that are joining us as well at some point. But Miss Albert and her team, we just went through VPI monitoring, our Virginia Preschool Initiative program. On-site monitoring occurred here just recently on October 29th. We're very pleased to report that there were no findings of any kind with that on-site monitoring. There was a great deal of work before that, but when they came in, they were looking at everything that they needed to, but no findings, no corrections, no anything that needed to be done based on that. In fact, the monitor took a number of different pieces of evidence with her to be able to go back and share with other divisions that she is working with. So just wanted to use this as an opportunity to congratulate Mrs. Albert and her team. Tremendous amount of work put in, Ms. Kelsey Dolan as well as Ms. Linda Moorfield, to make sure that we're where we need to be from a compliance standpoint so that our wonderful staff can do the things that they need to do for our youngest learners. So I wanted the board to be aware. The information is there, but again, certainly be happy to answer any questions y'all might have about that.
And I'll just add, to have no findings on that type of review is great. So just congratulations and thank you to the team that worked on this.
Yeah.
Board, any questions for Mr. Neighbors before he finishes? Yes, sir.
Sure. What were they looking for?
Yeah, so there's a lot of pieces that have to be complied with, right? Ultimately, it's all of those requirements that we have to make sure that we're accounting for from a number of students in classroom standpoint, certifications of teachers standpoint. Are we doing the right training? Do we have curriculum in place? All those different pieces that we say that we have, they actually come in and make sure we're actually doing what we said we were going to do. And in this case, we were far exceeding all of those expectations.
All right, so it was basically a document audit and then verification.
That's right. Yeah, came in, they talked to staff, talked to our teachers and instructional assistants, again, just to make sure that we are who we say we are when all of these different data pieces that we're reporting.
All right, thank you. Good job. Not easy to pass those without findings.
No.
Great team.
Board, anything else? Thank you, Mr. Neighbors.
Next, we have Mr. Gallagher, Human Resources.
All righty. Mr. Chair, members of the board, good evening to you. We have 3 items in Human Resources this evening. The first is our monthly vacancy memo that you should have in front of you to look at. And you may ask questions for any of those items. There are a few changes since it was drafted Friday. We have hired the social studies teacher. We have hired one of the behavior technicians. You see that between instructional assistants and behavior techs, that number is 8. We were down to 3, then we had the 5 positions that you all had approved in addition, and that's why that number is what it is. We have interviews scheduled for many of the others. Interesting word of note, we have hired 2 different music positions, and for different, personal reasons, those have both now been vacated and nothing to do with the position. So we still are searching, and as I had said previously, it's just not one of those areas. We have a lot of candidates coming out right now, as is the case in Spanish as well. But as you take a look at that, happy to answer any questions regarding any of that information.
Board, any questions on the vacancy?
Mr. Chair,
Yes, ma'am.
do we have any applicants for the music teacher positions that are up there?
We have just interviewed one recently, and then we have an upcoming, well, I can say it's an interview. The individual is not qualified, but could potentially become qualified through an alternate route, and also could be a long-term sub-option for the remainder of the year. So there are two potential opportunities there upcoming very soon.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Anything else, board? Thanks, sir.
Okay, yeah. And the next item there was the calendar committee. We have assembled a calendar committee because it's that time of year. We need to start preparing for the 25-26 school year calendar. And in doing that, they've been very busy, taking some information from past year surveys and looking at our current needs, stakeholder input, looking at what the priorities are of the division and drafting a base calendar, which you probably have seen now, because it did push that survey out not long ago. That survey is out for feedback until the 26th. So we are taking all that information. Our committee that has a great representation of different positions throughout the division, as well as parents, will take that feedback and meet in December. Our goal is to have a draft. If need be, we'll push information back out depending on what we receive. But our goal is to have a draft calendar for your first review in January to take a look at. So that's, I think, a good process. I've looked at regional calendars as well, especially Lynchburg, since we share regional programs, and making sure some of those key dates line up with our draft as well, and they do. But any questions you might have just about that process, I'm more than happy to answer.
Okay. Board, anything for Mr. Gallagher? Okay.
All right. I'm going to turn things over to Dr. Rose.
Good evening, Mr. Chair and board members. I just wanted to share that about the classified offsite recruiting. We're trying to dip our toes into some different ways to connect with candidates that might be able to fill some of our classified positions, and with the help of Mr. Rokes, we're trying to do some offsite events at local locations, being libraries. That's where we're trying to do now. This past Monday, we had an evening event at the Madison Heights Library, and this Tuesday, we will be at the Main Street Amherst Library from 10 to 11. Just trying to create different opportunities where they will be able to come in and hear about our different classified positions, as well as get hands-on assistance with filling out the applications, getting benefits information, trying to find a way to engage and connect with these sometimes hard-to-fill positions that seem to be always showing up on the vacancy report. So we're just trying to find different things to see what might connect best with that prospective candidate group. And this past week, it was a little rough because we were there on Veterans Day and the library was closed, so that kind of minimized the traffic. So lesson learned on that one, but we're hoping to get a better response with the Main Street event. Any questions about Monday? It is Monday.
Okay.
Okay.
Board, any questions for Dr. Rose?
And lastly, at your seat in your folder, I submitted the information that was requested back in August about the exit survey data broken down by school. I kept it in the same categories as the overall breakdown for the division so that you can see, what it looks like per school. And that information has also been shared with the principals about their respective schools.
Okay. Thank you, ma'am. Board, anything else for Dr. Rose? Thank you, ma'am.
Thank you. Now we have our student reps, Nasia Brown and Will Carver.
Good evening. Earlier this week, we celebrated Veterans Day at our schools. At the high school, Kinsley Wilson, she sung the national anthem, and we had performances by the marching band. And at AMS, they always do a big celebration with essay contests and performances by their band and other groups. And other schools also had celebrations for Veterans Day, and I think it was very great to have those schools represent our veterans in such a respectful and kind way. As was mentioned earlier, ACHS Theater Department plays 6 in our state, which was very great and brings a lot of attention to the school. And now they are working on their one acts, which are student-written and directed plays. Later on this month, we will be having our FSA ID night. on November 20th, 5:30 to 7 o'clock. Students will be welcome to come to the high school to work on their FSA IDs, which is very important for the FAFSA, which is opening next month. We also have Winterfest, which is an event at the high school. It's a community event where high school students will host several fun activities, which will be followed by our winter concert on December 10th at 7 o'clock. Chorus and show choir will be performing a few pieces that they have been working on for the past couple of weeks to help us get into the Christmas spirit. And also later on this month, we will have the Ring Social, which is going on in place of the Ring Dance, where our juniors will be receiving their class rings. Parents are welcome, and it's free for parents, and it should be a great turnout.
In the sports domain, we just wrapped up football season with a 68-0 win, which is exciting as one of the guys who gets painted up since it was the last game. It was a fun one. It was bittersweet as seniors, but it was a good way to end it. If you have to end it, then end it with a 68-0 win. But with that wrapping up, we also have winter sports starting up. So we have boys and girls basketball, basketball sideline cheering, wrestling, swimming, and indoor track all starting up, many of which have tryouts this week. And I know for at least boys basketball, there's incredible turnout, which is exciting to hear. So hopefully that's promising for their season. But also spring sports will start conditioning the week after November 21st. So after that dead week, spring sports will start conditioning, which is exciting because I play a spring sport. So we're looking forward to that. Aside from sports, FCCLA is hosting a color run this Saturday at Sweetbriar to raise money and food donations as well for Hurricane Helene victims in Asheville, North Carolina. So that's at 9 a.m. on Saturday. Right before Halloween, we had a trunk or treat, which I remember as a kid going to those events, and now as a senior in high school getting to help hand out candy. It comes full circle, and I know the kids had a good time. There was an incredible turnout, lines all the way across the senior lot, so that was exciting. And then the career fair, we just had that. And speaking from personal, it was actually really helpful. Sometimes we think of these events that would be cool, but we don't know how they actually pan out for the individual student. And following college week, where it was free to apply, it seems like college was the option. College is what you do. But the career fair really opened the eyes of a lot of seniors, such as myself, who really only looked at college as the option, but knowing that we have a lot of other jobs. There's military, there's manufacturers, law enforcement, things like that. And college isn't the only route. So kudos to you guys. Kudos to the administration as a senior, I don't think there's any doubt that I know most, if not all, my options for the next couple of years. So that's all I got. Thank you.
Okay.
Yeah, thank you.
Board, anything for our student reps before we go? Okay. Thank you, guys. Dr. Wells?
All right. So legislators' visit is tomorrow, and we'll be at Amherst Middle School at 9 a.m. Kind of the idea for this is we'll come and do introductions, have breakfast, we'll go visit some classrooms, we'll come back and kind of go through the information with our visitors, and then we'll dismiss after that. So 9 to about 11 is kind of the time frame we're thinking of.
Whereabouts?
Amherst Middle School in the library, excuse me.
The library, okay.
Yes, sir. And I'll be there about 8:15, so come on over whenever you can get there. We'll be in the library.
Okay.
Dr. Wells, do you know what legislators will be in attendance?
Delegate Griffin will be there, and then we'll have some of our local board, town council, board of supervisors as well. But Delegate Griffin said he will be there. Veterans Day, again, was this past week, and again, as our student rep said, a lot of our schools, all of our schools had some type of a Veterans Day event. Manelson had their event a few nights before when they had the chorus concert. Amherst Middle did their event on Veterans Day. And the high school had their event there. Then the elementary schools had different things going on in their buildings. I was able to get to a few of them, and I was able to speak at the Veterans Day event at Manellison as well as at Elon to their students at Elon. And I just want to thank all of the veterans for what they have done for our country. So, American Education Week is next week, November 18th to the 22nd. And then School Psychology Awareness Week was this week. We had our last tailgate last Friday. We had over 100 people here for that. And then next week we do it to the VS Bay Convention, the 20th through the 22nd. And Ms. Ligon, Ms. Justice, Mr. Childress will be there for that. And then on the conflict of interest training, we have it on here, but just to remind you that it's every other year. So since you completed it in February 24th, you don't have to do it again till next year. But if you want to do it again, you're more than welcome to, but it's not required until we get through there. Oh, and at your place for American Education Week, you have your badge lanyard. Looks like this. So that way. You can use that, and we're giving that to all staff this year.
Their badge.
We'll have to get you your badge.
Thanks.
Yeah. So, but you have your lanyard, if nothing else. Requested information. You had the information requested that we went over last month. That's at your place. We've been able to compile a majority of that. There are a couple things we're still working on getting information for you, but majority of the information you requested is there. Again, if you have a request for information this month after today's meeting, let us know, and we'll make sure we have that. We'll take the meeting from tonight, compile that as well. But if you have other information you would like, let us know so we can get it for you for next month's meeting. And then earlier today, I did send an email to the board regarding, I just asked you to take a look at that, and we can talk about it at a later date regarding some chance of time to do some work with our 3 schools that are federally identified. Again, look at that at your convenience, and then, again, it's not an action for discussion tonight. I just want to make sure you're aware that the email is there. Okay? And that is all I have. Have been any questions?
Okay. Board, any questions for Dr. Wells?
Absolutely. No, not this time.
Yes, sir.
Yes, ma'am. Ms. Justice.
Sorry. The information you gave us in regards to our questions from last month, can we get it in digital format? Is that possible?
Yes.
Thank you. I would appreciate that. Thank you.
Okay.
Anything else, board? Okay. Thank you, Dr. Wells.
Thank you.
So now moving on, board members, we have our committees and then our own comments. So, Mr. Childress, you want to start us off again?
Absolutely, love it.
Thank you.
I'll keep it brief, I promise. So on 10/24, after our last board meeting, I did attend the Manellison Family Community Dinner that was held there at Manellison. It was a great event for the community, very well attended. I did get to speak to a lot of people in the community. So if you missed it, you missed a great meal. It was free, and there was even a movie there that night. So it was a great event. I did attend the STEM Academy board meeting this week, and the short version is that they are working with their students on meeting with companies to pick out internships. And so they'll be doing that now through December, and then they'll start the internships in January. And of course, you know how important that is to students that are learning how to be productive workers, and so it's a great opportunity. And then also starting here next week, or actually tomorrow, they'll be starting to work on mock interviews, which I think is very critical for our young generation to understand how to set in an interview and to present themselves well, and all the various techniques for doing that. So, and with that, I will end it. Thank you.
Good job.
Ms. Saunders.
I wanted to thank everyone, the staff, for all your hard work. Lots of information, as always. I do want to say I like this dual enrollment with the University of Lynchburg. Mr. Maddox and I are always talking about how we can help businesses, but now we get to help ourselves. We're growing our own, and that's really important. We see the deficit of teachers that we need, and so this program will hopefully will begin a really productive one for us. So thank you for that. And that's all I have.
Okay. Mr. Rossi?
Yeah, it was great seeing all the students up here again and recognizing some teachers also, but we need to take time for the students to be as great as they are. We need to, thank the parents and the teachers because they're creating those good students. They're not born that way. They need guidance. They need us to send them in the right direction. And I appreciate all the parents and teachers out there that put our children on the right path and to the road to success. On another note, we are getting close to Thanksgiving. I know sometimes we need to reflect, give thanks, and there were some words said tonight, and I want all the board members to know that I love you and respect each and every one of you more than you all know. And I don't know where the breakdown was, but I just wanted everybody to know that respect and love you all. And out there too. Love you all.
Okay, thank you. Ms. Justice?
Thank you very much. So Central Virginia Gov School has its next board's meeting in December and did not have a meeting this month. 4 students attended the Fly Lab at UVA, and they're having, they had parent-teacher conferences on the 24th and 30th of October. So lots of good things happening there pretty soon. We should be having some visits, I think, here, I believe, and see a new round of kids for next year, and I can't believe we're already there. Looking forward to the legislators' visit tomorrow. I'll be there. Living in Amherst proper, I have the opportunity to walk through town often. And last week, I was blessed to work the polls and got to observe what is characteristic of Amherst. And that is people thinking differently from each other, voting differently, some pretty stark differences, but loving each other. And I think of even this evening, the heated words and stuff. I know that in spite of things going differently or hurt feelings and stuff, there is still respect and value, and we'll walk away from here interacting in a really positive way. And there's not enough of that in this world. You see too many people that are divided and going different directions. And so I get lots of hope living here in Amherst, participating in the school system, participating in the election process. And we are very blessed to live here. And thank you for all your hard work. Oh, one last thing, sir. Sorry.
Yes, ma'am.
And Ms. Thomas, thank you for the invitation to enter the schools and see our teachers at work.
Ms. Ligon?
Yes, sir, thank you so much. Just short notice here. Lord has not had a meeting, so we're on quiet until December. I was just excited to see that activity bus. Can I get on that?
Sure.
Yeah, I'll take somebody somewhere. I don't want to drive. But, I always say the activity bus in the city. This is a beautiful one with a big A on it, so let's take that across town when we can. And, yes, I went to community dinner as well at Manelson. It was very nice. I saw some of you there. And Veterans Day celebrations were very good. And as Dr. Wells said, we appreciate all the veterans here in the county. And so I think that was all that I had. We are excited about all of those who were recognized tonight, of course. And what I said was not about love or not love. It's about protocol and business. That's the way I operate. So there's no love lost here by anybody, but I just made my point of what my responsibility is, and that's what I do. Okay, that's all I got.
Ma'am. Ms. Thompson?
Well, I'd like to thank Ms. Thomas also for coming again and sharing with us about instructional assistance, because I know that's something that's been on the board priority for the upcoming budget discussions. And, she brought to our attention board the job description. Maybe we need to do some tweaking on that. I'm sure Administrators have picked up on that to where we're accurately describing those. So I appreciated her bringing that to our attention. Also, I know that as we're moving forward and we're talking about their pay, if there's things that we can do and talk about and understand better about their credentialing and their responsibilities, I think that would be important to our conversation as well. I'd like to say congratulations to Mrs. Albert's team for the VPI monitoring and for the wonderful results, as well as for Temperance Elementary and their exemplar award. That's just such great accomplishments. So it sets a high standard for all of us. I'd also like to thank both Mrs. Justice and Mrs. Legan. I know that the VSBA legislative process can be cumbersome. I know we get a lot of information about legislation, and it is very difficult to keep up with it. So I appreciate, Mrs. Justice, you digging in and bringing us some summaries of things that you saw. Those are the type of work that we need to be doing. And I also thank Mrs. Ligon for being our representative and being willing to take that information to the VSBA. So it's good teamwork. It's not always comfortable, but it's the work that we've been elected to do. So I just thank you both. You make a great team. So that's all I have tonight. Thank you.
Okay, thank you, ma'am. So, yeah, I don't have any committees, but I did get to attend several things this month, and as always, they were a lot of fun. We had the Manelson dinner. I got to go to that. The tailgating, getting everybody together, is always a fun activity to see the community come in, see our schools interacting in a way that's outside of normal, just out having a good time. Yeah, unfortunately, football is coming to an end for the season, but there will be another one. I did get to go to the theater presentation of Romeo and Juliet, and I challenge everybody, if you haven't had a chance to see any of their presentations, they are phenomenal. They do a great job. It's no wonder they won, I think 6th place in the state?
Yeah, 6th place.
Yeah, so, I mean, they do a great job. Look forward to seeing them in that new auditorium. I did not get to go to the trunk or treat, but I heard it was quite a success. So, and Miss Thomas coming to speak again, we definitely like hearing from our teachers. Unfortunately, she's still not here. But can someone check with her about, she's trying to get a school board meeting? Maybe she couldn't see it. She said something wasn't available. I heard her say that there was a meeting that she didn't see or couldn't hear or couldn't attend. Was it? I think it was when we were talking about our budget, but that was during the day. And that was open meeting. So, I mean, I don't know why. I mean, I just want to make sure that it's out there. I mean, it's not something we're hiding. It's out there.
Minutes are there, the audio is available.
Okay. No, just making sure. Just making sure. And congratulations to Temperance. Again, that's quite an honor for one of our little schools here in Little Amherst County. That's a great thing. And our Manelson Middle School music program. It's programs like that make us stand out. So it's an awesome thing. And there again, and thank you guys for all the reports that you give us. It's overwhelming how much data you can provide for us, but you do a great job for it. And that's about it for me. So thank you guys. Oh, one last thing. Sorry, I do have one last thing. Dr. Wells, I'll call you out. Happy Veterans Day. Thank you for your service. If there's another veteran in here that I don't know of, please raise your hand because I'm not aware of it. But thank you for your service, sir.
Yes, sir. Thank you.
Okay. And that's it for me. Okay. Board. We're at that point.
I make
Motion to adjourn.
Okay.
second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Thank you.